In other PSYOP news, Ghislaine Maxwell was hired to do PR for the Trump administration last month when she sat down for an interview with Trump's former personal attorney and now Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. The piece was so obviously just deal-making that Ghislaine would give glowing testimony about Trump to help clean up the massive shit tornado that has been his handling of the Epstein files, and in exchange, Trump moved her to a cushy new minimum security prison where she'll be more comfortable. I'm sure that she's also angling for a pardon by the end of his term. But the whole situation is just so insane from start to finish, and the response from Trump supporters was one of the most depressing things you could ever watch. Like, let's be clear. We discovered the world's most prolific child sex trafficking and blackmail ring. We took down the two apparent leaders of the network. One allegedly died mysteriously in prison while all the cameras were off and the guards were napping. And the other stood trial and was convicted in a court of law. In Ghislaine's trial, they chose to put the 4 best witnesses on the stand out of a pool of more than 100 accusers. She was convicted by a jury because of the mountains of evidence that proves her involvement. Not just victim testimony, documentation, photos, videos, financials. We know that Maxwell was recruiting these incredibly young girls herself, in person. We know where she was recruiting them from. We know how much she was paying them. We know the tactics that she was using, what she was saying. We know how they were covering it up. We know where the money was being banked. We know who the co-conspirators were, despite them all still walking free. And we have over 100 corroborating witnesses, basically all telling versions of the same story. Ghislaine Maxwell was also charged with 2 counts of perjury that never actually went to trial because the DOJ agreed to settle those counts in order to secure the more important trafficking conviction. The perjury charges didn't go away because they weren't true. They never went to trial at all because they wanted to get things over with and put a bow on it.
Conspiracy theories are dangerous.
Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
It's so sick we can't talk about it.
And then, when Trump is in hot water over Epstein, he sends his good buddy Todd Blanche to record a puff piece where Maxwell tells all the same lies she told on the stand that are demonstrably false, and now you're supposed to believe her. Like, just stop and think about this for 1 second. Imagine that you lock up a murderer after an extensive trial with heaps of evidence, and he's convicted on all that evidence, even though he says that he didn't do anything wrong, right? And then a year later, you go to him in jail and say, hey, did you do it? And he says, no. And so you're like, oh shit, dude, this dude must be innocent. He says he didn't do it. Case closed. Let's get this guy out. Set him free. He's all good, bro. That is what this thing with Ghislaine is. Okay? Here are just a couple of the blatant lies that Ghislaine told in her testimony. She said that there were never any cameras inside of any of Epstein's homes, and certainly never in any inappropriate places like a bedroom or a bathroom. She said this multiple times in very explicit and detailed language, like here, where she said, quote, no cameras anywhere outside of possibly things that I would consider normal. So the garage gate, something like that. A front door. Todd adds outside, like security cameras. Yeah, security cameras. And again, here, as just one more example of several where Todd Blanche said, but from what you know, you do not believe a camera exists, or a video camera or a camera that takes pictures inside of any of his residences. Correct. Despite the fact that we have literal photos of cameras in his bedroom, right? Despite the fact that the FBI confiscated binders of photos and videos on CDs from Epstein's mansion when they raided it and reported finding hidden cameras throughout the house. That is just scratching the surface of the evidence of video cameras and sexual blackmail that we have. Ghislaine also claimed that she never recruited anyone from Mar-a-Lago, which is where Virginia Giuffre was recruited from. Okay, except that Trump himself has corroborated that Virginia was recruited from Mar-a-Lago. And I can't help but notice that Mr. Blanche didn't even ask Ghislaine about one of the most significant pieces of evidence in the whole story, probably in the whole world. This photo of her with Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre taken in Ghislaine's own apartment in London. So, if Ghislaine didn't recruit and traffic children, then why is this 17-year-old girl from Palm Beach standing in Ghislaine's apartment halfway around the world with Prince Andrew's arm around her waist? That's kind of weird. Well, Ghislaine's answer has always been that it's a fake photo. Prince Andrew ran with the same line, which is probably the best that they can do, seeing as there's no other possible explanation for its existence. But that photo has been extensively verified by forensic experts, by the photographer that originally broke the story, by a whole host of analysis. It's a real photo. Quote, the photograph also had a stamp that reads 000 number 15, 13th March 01, Walgreens 1 hour photo, which insinuates the picture was developed in a 1 hour service on 13th of March 2001 at a branch of Walgreens. Quote, a Florida-based photographic expert and court witness, Joel Van Hemel, also said he had no doubt the photo was genuine when shown the back of the photo. It was definitely produced in a Walgreens for sure, probably using a Noritsu or Fuji machine. Prince Andrew paid an undisclosed number of millions of dollars to Virginia Giuffre to avoid facing her in open court, and Ghislaine Maxwell herself paid Virginia her own undisclosed number of millions to settle a defamation suit that Virginia brought against her. But yeah, you're supposed to believe a single word out of this lying demon's mouth. And it's not even about Trump. This is not about Trump. I'm not claiming that this proves anything about the guy. This is way bigger than Trump. And if half the country can pretend like, oh, maybe Ghislaine's a good guy, maybe she's just telling the truth and wasn't even really doing all that much at all, and just because like you want Trump to be some paragon of angelic perfection is psychotic, okay? It's retarded. Stop it. You're making your team look so fucking stupid, it's hard to look at. Epstein didn't kill himself. He didn't bank himself. He didn't employ himself. They are all in on it. They're all covering it up. They all deserve to face trial for their part in this crime against humanity and against America. And if Trump is just scared that there might be a little bit of backlash on him because of like implications from the thing, it's like, if Trump didn't do anything wrong, then fucking let it out. And we will forgive you for being friends with him back in the day, bro. But like, whatever's going on now doesn't look like that. All these motherfuckers deserve to be tried, imprisoned, and maybe more. Okay? End of story. Except that that's not the end of the story. Because last week, we got renewed attention on a set of leaked emails that actually hit the internet a couple of months ago, but they took some time to circulate and be verified and dug open. Over 100,000 emails to and from Ehud Barak are on the internet and available for download. And I spent the last couple of days completely sidetracked by trying to find some way to get AI to help me organize and scrape through all of them to get a sense for what they actually contain. And I'm still just at the beginning of my analysis, but from what I've seen already, some very clear trends emerge. First off, the email trove only spans from October 10th, 2014 to September 9th, 2015. So that's an 11-month time period. And at least the data set that I have is specifically from that time period. I believe that some of the reporting coming out about Peter Thiel's part in the emails is being done by people with access to other caches of emails, because he's actually not in the main set that's going around. So I plan to dig more into why that's happening later this week. But in just this 11-month range, there are over 83 emails in the file between Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak. Many of them are short, basically, you up, boo. And many of them are asking to speak on the phone instead of over message, because these guys weren't dumb. They knew that their correspondences might one day wind up in the hands of some asshole like me and get plastered all over the internet, okay? But it is readily apparent that these guys were working closely together on intelligence operations. Many of these emails are about organizing meetings with powerful individuals, gaining access, and exploiting relationships. Many of them are about money and investments. One big one that's mentioned repeatedly throughout this batch of emails is Reporty, which is a cyber tech company, an Israeli cyber company that's now known as Carbine 911. It has been extensively reported on by Whitney Webb. This is an Israeli military intelligence cyber startup that Ehud and Epstein eventually wound up investing in alongside Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, who invested $15 million in 2018. Jeffrey Epstein also invested $1 million in the company as early as 2016, using a bunch of offshore shell companies set up by Ehud Barak to hide Epstein's involvement in the deal. Johnny Vedmore has done extensive reporting on Nicole Junkerman, who's at the center of this whole piece of the story, and we will probably report more on her and on it over the coming weeks. I also put up a video the other day about an online intelligence service that Ehud Barak was apparently subscribed to for at least $3,000 annually that sent him regular reports about powerful people of his choosing all around the world. And the pattern of those reports indicates that he was paying to keep tabs on the Clintons through Hillary's 2016 campaign, tech moguls like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, politicians like Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as a bunch of other powerful people. There's a lot more to dig up in these email leaks, and I'll be publishing more about it as I dig deeper into them. There is a lot more going on, a lot of important stories that I just don't have time to give the coverage they deserve right now. Trump is going socialist and nationalizing part of Intel in a financial deal that I don't think we have the full story on yet, so I'm going to wait to report on it until we get more of the picture. The CDC is apparently in open revolt against Bobby Kennedy. Head of CDC, Susan Menarez, either resigned or was fired and then resigned, or is refusing to resign. The reporting keeps on changing, and now a whole bunch of CDC staff are apparently walking out in a form of protest against Bobby. But behind the scenes, it seems like, as usual, it's just big industry interests throwing a temper tantrum that someone has the audacity to ask them if they've ever conducted any safety studies on any of the poisons that they are feeding to us and injecting into us. And it's all just evil, greedy men that don't want the gravy train to end, from my perspective. I don't know. I'll keep my eyes on the story and maybe do a more thorough investigation into it in the coming weeks if it heats up. There were also a ton more stories out of and surrounding Israel over the last weeks, from the demons double tapping a hospital. This article says 4 strikes, but it's because it was actually 2 double strikes, one and then like 10 minutes later, the next. Then they tried to play possum on the PR apology tour as if they hadn't just done it intentionally to kill medical personnel and journalists. Israel's own statistics now show the civilian casualty rate at 83% of all deaths in Gaza, which is so fucking insane. I don't even know where to start. I mean, anyone with eyes knows that that's what's been going on since October 7th and long before. And I would imagine that the number is actually low. And in the meantime, we've got Ron DeSantis launching a special Israel license plate in Florida. Beverly Hills actually voted to put up Israeli flags in all public school classrooms during the month of May to celebrate Jewish American Heritage Month. And the internet was so outraged that now they appear to be backpedaling. W internet. Fucking public schools. Come on, like, you're damn straight. I'm so sick of every week having just story after story of Israeli war crimes and my country fucking its citizens dry for the betterment of a genocidal ethno-state that hates America. So, all I'll say about Israel today is this. If you believe that the Jews and Israel are God's chosen people, please explain to me how that is any different than the ethno-nationalist ideology of Nazi Germany. You have a race of people that say that they are the chosen race and all other races are inferior and they are committing heinous war crimes because of that ethno-nationalist belief. Right? If the Jews are God's chosen people, what do you think that makes the rest of us? Think about it.
That would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
Anyways, that's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in and staying to the end. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the documentary that's dropping on my channel this week. Sorry that I missed you guys over the last 2 weeks. I was out in the woods, rolling around in the dirt underneath a log cabin, doing repairs and getting some much needed family time. But I'm out of the woods. I'm in the DC area for the next month, and I've got some wicked things cooking. So expect to see a lot more from me from here on out, and keep your eyes peeled for some cool collaborations and documentaries coming out here soon. That's it for today. Remember to drink your water, do something kind for someone else, and tell someone that you love them. And we'll see you next time.
American conspiracy theories are dangerous.
Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
With Republicans, with progressives, with libertarians, because this is not about right and left, this is about right and wrong.
It's so sacred we can't talk about it. Our security is at stake.